Wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors. This implies the soldiers which are fighting for their own countries at the battlefield. But no matter what, no matter which country wins, which side wins, there will always be loss of mankind because soldiers will die. Would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. This is what the poet wants us to experience, wants mankind to experience at least for once. That is, without any kind of war that is going on everywhere in this world, let us take this moment when we can walk about as brothers and enjoy the beauty that nature gives, that nature has to offer to us, to mankind. Walk about with their brothers, that is, with unity and harmony and only love in their hearts, in the shade, that is, acknowledging the gift of nature to mankind, doing nothing. Otherwise, these people who are always engaged in some kind of war, they are just they're just involved in violence, they're involved in all kinds of serious activities. They do not have time to acknowledge and appreciate the beauty of nature. So Neruda, the poet, he tries to tell his readers that let us give this moment of acknowledgement to ourselves. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. And the last part, towards the end of this poem, the poet actually tells his readers what is the meaning of his message, what he actually means when he says that he wants us to experience a moment of silence, that is, of the meaning of keeping quiet. He does not want his readers to confuse the word keeping quiet or silence with total inactivity. He does not want that everything should stop, people should stop living, people should stop doing things that makes them happy. It's just that people should give themselves some time and take a moment of speculation, take a moment of introspection. That is, when they will get the time to realize what they have been doing until now and what they are supposed to do if they want their lives to become better in the future. Life is what it is about. That is, the pace of life and the activities that are involved to make life what it is, these activities cannot be stopped forever. All he wants is that life has to go on, but human beings, if in one particular moment, if all the entire race of mankind, they take this moment of silence to acknowledge, to understand and realize what they are supposed to do and the bond that they have to establish with nature for a better and more prosperous life. I want no truck with death. The meaning of no truck with something or somebody is that there is no association. We do not want any kind of association with that somebody or something. Here the poet says, I want no truck with death. That is, he doesn't want any association of this meaning with death. When he says complete silence or when he says keeping quiet, he does not mean death. All he wants is a moment of pause in our lives which can make our lives even better after this moment. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. If we were not so single-minded, the meaning of the word single-minded is when we blindly approach a goal, when we move towards a particular goal set for ourselves and without nothing else to think of. that is single-mindedness. It is a positive term otherwise when we are moving towards a particular goal. But here, Pablo Neruda, he tries to tell us that we are becoming blind in our pursuit. Pursuit means in our search for success and more development, that single-mindedly we are moving towards our own destruction, but without even realizing that what we call growth, what we call progress is actually leading us to our own downfall. And for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. And here the poet says that maybe a moment of huge silence. Huge silence is when the entire race of mankind will become silent together for up to 12 counts. Might interrupt this sadness, and this silence will have the power to break or interrupt the sadness of never understanding ourselves. See, in that busy life when we were rushing ahead towards something, towards some kind of goal or target, we were actually making ourselves sad in the process. So he's telling us to give ourselves that moment of pause, of silence, to interrupt that silence, the sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. He is not talking about death, instead he's telling us to try and do this, which can actually help us overcome our fears, anxieties and insecurities, and our constant association with death. Because death is something which Neruda does not want to preach here, does not want to associate when he says, keep quiet, keeping quiet. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Again, coming back to the power of nature. Here, Pablo Neruda talks about what nature is capable of doing. Even after a moment of apparent death, apparent inactivity. Apparent means that looks like something, but actually is not so. It's a moment of inactivity or death for some time, but actually it's going to give us more life after this moment. And nature is going to do that for us, to bring us, induce in our minds the sense of realization. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So in the beginning of the poem he says, now we will count to 12. This was a proposal that a poet gives to his readers across the globe, and towards the end, the couplet with which he ends the poem, he says, now I will count up to 12. So he says that even I'm joining you all. Now you keep quiet, I'll keep quiet, you keep quiet, and I will go. That's why he says that in that moment of silence, of keeping quiet, we might be able to find our lost selves, our sense of kindness, our sense of harmony, which was lost from the surface of this earth. And for that, what is the need of the hour according to the poet is actually silence. Because no language, no activity, no preaching can give us that peace of mind which right now the world needs.